Between 1971 and 1978, a series of child kidnappings plagued Pierce County, Washington. The victims were abducted from locations typically associated with family fun, such as movie theaters, bowling alleys, playgrounds, and in one case, Point Defiance State Park. According to witnesses, each child vanished after being yelled at, grabbed, or otherwise publicly disciplined by a parent, after which the children went away to pout or cry and simply never returned. 12 children eventually vanished in this manner. Then, in November 1978, a bizarre mass grave was discovered in rural Eatonville, Washington. Within the grave were the remains of 23 children in various stages of decay. The oldest remains were skeletal, while the freshest still possessed somewhat recognizable facial features. Each child was laid out under a blanket with evidence of having been tucked in, and had a makeshift pillow under his or her head and a toy of some kind pressed into their arms. At autopsy, all of the children were found to have moss, leaves, twigs, and tree bark in their stomachs. 7 appeared to have died of intestinal blockage related to this peculiar diet. The others died of starvation. Most disturbingly, 6 of the children bore injuries consistent with long-term physical abuse. 8 bore no such injuries. 9 were too decomposed to definitively assess the presence of any injuries. The discovery of the corpses was handled with supreme delicacy by the Pierce County Sheriff, who had prior experiences with the Agency of Helping Hands, and recognized that this discovery was in line with the agency's scope of responsibilities. The agency promptly launched an investigation and quickly discovered that 12 of the bodies belonged to abduction victims. An additional 8 were identified during the course of the investigation. 3 of the victims remain unidentified to this day. After interviewing witnesses to the known abductions, the agency determined that a woman with distinctive red hair and a mildly deformed face had been present immediately prior to each disappearance. Adult witnesses were uniformly unhelpful. However, witnesses who were minors or had been minors at the time of sighting provided valuable information. The most detailed eyewitness report is consistent with other known reports. It has been summarized below. A 5-year-old child named Brianna was at a pizza restaurant with an attached arcade along with her parents and brother. Approximately an hour after the family's arrival, Brianna asked her mother for additional game tokens. Her mother refused loudly, asking if Brianna thought they were made of money. Brianna argued, at which point her father began to yell at her too. The witness described the father's tirade as an expletive-laden temper tantrum that shocked onlookers. Understandably, Brianna began to cry, at which point her father spanked her for being a selfish crybaby. Brianna slipped out of her father's grip and ran away from him, exhibiting clear distress. When her father attempted to follow her, a staff member intervened, resulting in an altercation. During the altercation, Brianna hid in a corner to cry privately. A few minutes later, a woman with red hair and an unusual face approached Brianna. Brianna initially pulled away, perhaps put off by the woman's peculiar appearance, but the woman appeared to quickly win her over by asking Brianna her favorite food. Brianna responded that her favorite food was ice cream, so the woman asked Brianna if she wanted to go get an ice cream, to which Brianna enthusiastically agreed. Other children in the vicinity, including the primary witness, clamored to tag along, but the woman gently refused, saying that Brianna deserved a treat because she had bad parents. Following this pronouncement, the woman took Brianna by the hand and instructed her to look over at her parents, who were still engaged in conflict with the arcade staff. She then gave a little wave in their direction and instructed Brianna to say, "Before we go, say bye-bye, Mommy." Brianna obediently repeated, "Bye-bye, Mommy." The moment this phrase was uttered, the juvenile witnesses began to panic. According to the primary witness, this is because the phrase was consistent with retellings of a local urban legend known, naturally, as the Bye-Bye Mommy. The juveniles tried to raise the alarm, but the ongoing altercation between staff and Brianna's parents rendered them unheard as the red-haired woman melted into the crowd with Brianna by her side. Brianna was never seen alive again. However, Brianna's body was exhumed from the mass grave in Eatonville, and her body was among those that had shown signs of long-term physical mistreatment. Following the discovery of the mass grave, the agency investigated this so-called bye-bye mommy for weeks. According to urban folklore, she was a vengeful boogeyman figure who spirited away disobedient children, particularly children who defied their parents in public. Information, however, was scant for such a widespread tale, consisting primarily of 3 elements. The first element was that the entity looked deformed, or so the rumor went, because her mean husband punched her so hard that he broke her face. The second element was that after selecting her victim, the entity insisted that he or she say, "Bye-bye, mommy," before kidnapping them. And the third element was that the children taken by the bye-bye mommy were never seen again, resulting in considerable fear among local children at the time. Disturbingly, nearly half of the victims exhumed from the mass grave in Eatonville were never reported missing. As previously stated, some of these individuals were never identified. However, of the unreported victims that were identified, 1 was undocumented, 4 were runaways, and 3 had been in foster care at the time of their disappearance. The parents of the runaways and the guardians of the foster children either already had, or were later discovered to have, histories of mistreating minors in their care. It must be noted that this information contradicts the prevailing rumor that the entity punished disobedient children by way of kidnapping and lends credence to the entity's own claims that she only took, or in her words, rescued, children living with subpar guardians. The agency experienced great difficulty in tracking this entity, as it was impossible to identify and set watch over every victim of child neglect or abuse in Pierce County. Personnel eventually decided to stake out the mass gravesite. Finally, after 8 weeks, the entity returned to the gravesite. When she saw that the remains of the children were no longer present, she flew into a rage. As is common with such entities, the high emotion disrupted her physical state and she began to morph, assuming a disturbing appearance that presented signs of decay, severe bodily trauma, and non-human proportions. Agency personnel failed to apprehend her using standard methods, in the process placing themselves in mortal danger. One agent, thinking quickly, screamed that she needed the entity's help to rescue her baby brother, who was being abused by their stepfather. Please note that this agent had neither a baby brother nor a stepfather. However, this claim caught the entity's attention, so the agent stated that her brother had prayed to Jesus for the bye-bye mommy to help him and was waiting for her to rescue him. Due to her intense distress over the missing bodies, the entity did not, or perhaps could not, resume normal proportions, but she followed the agent in order to help this non-existent baby brother. The agent directed the entity to the agency's nearest field location, whose personnel were equipped to capture and eventually transport the entity. Once she was in custody, the agency was able to trace the entity's origins quite easily. Before her death, the bye-bye mommy was a woman named Roxanne King. Records show that Roxanne had multiple complaints of child abuse and 1 charge of neglect lodged against her. Shortly before her death, Roxanne had sent her young daughter to live with the child's equally unfit father after the child upset her. Remorse quickly set in, and Roxanne attempted to retrieve her daughter for the next 3 months. She was unsuccessful. According to her own testimony, she had a nightmare approximately 14 weeks later, in which her daughter was emaciated and panicking as a pack of monsters starved her to death. This nightmare was so powerful that upon waking, Roxanne immediately called emergency services before driving to her ex's house, which was a trip of approximately 35 minutes. By the time she arrived, emergency services was on site and had confirmed the child's death. In a fit of rage, Roxanne attacked her ex as the police escorted him out of the house. He hit her back with enough force to break both her jaw and cheekbone. She then threw herself in front of the oncoming ambulance, killing herself. Suffice to say, she did not stay dead. While issues arise in assigning human standards of sanity, insanity, and culpability to our inmates, it is my opinion that the Bye-Bye Mommy is not sane. Contrary to the belief that she abducted children to punish them, she believes she was saving them. Had she been a more competent and substantially less narcissistic protector, perhaps she could have. Instead, she held her victims captive at an undisclosed location in rural Pierce County until they died. The entity insists she took her victims to a beautiful home that she built after her death and fed them the most delicious food in the world. Initially, these claims were completely dismissed by agency personnel. Later assessment of the entity's abilities, however, showed that she is capable of throwing an immersive glamour, something akin to a full-body virtual reality experience. In her own words, and I quote, "I took these babies away from hell to a heaven with a beautiful house, friendly pets, and delicious food. A place where treats grow on trees and nothing is ever dirty. A place where a mother loves them and the children are happy with me forever." Needless to say, the entity is a profoundly unreliable narrator, and caution must be exercised at all times when engaging with her. The source of the entity's glamour casting appears to derive from a coping mechanism of, for lack of a better term, rewriting history. Her personal mental instability and immense guilt over the death of her daughter led her to create a false history in which she is an ideal mother. Through processes not yet understood, the power of this delusion increased substantially at the time of her death, enabling her to design, bring into being, and inhabit a false reality in which she is a perfect parental figure. Most impressively, she is able to bring others into this false reality alongside her. Obviously, this explains several things about the case, such as the fact that the kidnapped children never attempted to escape the entity, as well as the fact that their digestive tracts were full of inedible matter. The entity was making the children and herself perceive twigs, leaves, and bark as delicious food. It must be noted that without any children to save, Roxanne's internal landscape and false reality have grown substantially more destructive. That she currently exists in a state of perpetual anguish cannot be denied. For these reasons, her prognosis is very poor. Due to her instability, her substantial mental suffering, and the danger she poses to the public, the agency long ago made the decision to terminate her on humane grounds. Unfortunately, despite numerous efforts with every tool and method the agency possesses, termination has been unsuccessful. Under these circumstances, V-Class Commander Valentin Cortez recently proposed a pilot program wherein the Bye-Bye Mommy might help identify and rescue abused children. However, administration is of the opinion that the incredible complications inherent in such a proposal and the reliance on local law enforcement to maintain secrecy both render this plan impossible. Further, administration believes that even if these complications could be neutralized in some way, the entity's mental and emotional instability render her entirely unsuitable for such work. There is also the issue of her relative youth. She is undoubtedly a young entity, and in the way that young rattlesnakes are more dangerous than older ones, so are young inmates. They can't control themselves, they possess little to no emotional regulation, and they wield their abilities thoughtlessly. Substantial and numerous attempts have been made by staff psychiatrist Dr. Wingaryde to rewire the entity's internal reality to something more pleasant. All attempts have failed, and in one case, agency personnel perished as a result. For these reasons, the consensus is that the agency is unable to utilize this entity, or rehabilitate her, or even soothe her. At this time, the entity will continue to be held indefinitely pending discovery of a successful mode of termination. My name is Agent Bean. Today I'm conducting an investigative interview with Inmate 2, Roxanne King, also known as the Bye-Bye Mommy. Her classification string is as follows: non-cooperative, indestructible, chthonic, protean, moderate, hemitheos. Good afternoon, Roxanne. My name's Rochelle, and I am here to talk to you today.
I don't want to talk to you.
Why don't you want to talk to me?
Because whenever I talk to you people, you punish me.
I'm not here to punish you, Roxanne. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to cause any trouble for you. I am just here to listen. Only to listen. So tell me what's on your mind. Roxanne? Tell me.
I really thought I'd be a good mom. I could have been. I could have been the best mother on earth if someone had just shown me how. But no one ever did. That's why I didn't know what to do. I knew what not to do. I learned that from my own mother. It was one rule, easy to follow. Just don't do anything she did. Don't scream at your kids for no reason. Don't hit them for any reason. Don't embarrass them in public. Don't tear them down. Don't let other people hurt them. Don't ignore them when they need you. You're the most important person to your children, the most important person ever, so act like it. Well, most importantly, don't ever withhold food. Always feed your kids. Always feed them first, no matter what. Always. See, I knew what not to do, but knowing what not to do isn't the same as knowing what to do. I know that now. I was 15. My mom kicked me out and told me I was still the same whore that I had always been, and to get out and never come back. So Amber's dad took me in. He definitely wasn't 15, but 15-year-olds can't rent apartments, so it was for the best. Only it wasn't for the best at all. But that doesn't matter. None of that matters. All that matters is Amber. I couldn't wait for her to be born. I couldn't wait to have a baby, to have my own family. Someone who would always be with me. Someone who would always need me. Someone who would always love me. Except when she finally got here, I didn't know what to do because no one ever showed me how. I didn't know what to do when she wouldn't sleep. Or when she screamed until her little voice got raw. When I couldn't make any milk, when the formula made her sick, when she had allergic reactions to her diapers. I just didn't know what to do. That's why I ended up doing what I wasn't supposed to do, like scream at her, especially when her father screamed at me because she was screaming, and sometimes I left her alone in her crib in the closet when I couldn't take it anymore. I ignored her. I let her dad shriek at her until she was hysterical because it kept him from screaming at me. And when I got tired of her constant sick belly, I didn't feed her, sometimes for hours. Once or twice for a whole day, especially when she got older. But even though I did everything I wasn't supposed to do, she loved me anyway. And when I didn't stop doing the things that I shouldn't do, she kept loving me. She still wanted to snuggle with me every night. She still wanted to share her toys with me and have tea parties with me. And she still wanted me to curl her hair and make her pretty and take her to the playground and the bowling alley. She loved the bowling alley. She couldn't even pick up a bowling ball, not even the one they make for kids. And if Amber had just been that way all the time, the snuggly, playful, pretty little mommy's girl who loved tea parties and playgrounds and bowling, I would have been the perfect mom without even trying. But she wasn't. In between those good times, she was a fucking monster. A screaming, petty, jealous, selfish, insecure little monster who took all of her anger out on me just like her father. But it wasn't her fault. She learned it from him. I let her learn it from him. I knew that. But knowing that didn't make it any easier for me. It definitely didn't make her behave any better. And the worse she got, the meaner her father got. I did everything I wasn't supposed to do. I already told you that. But he did it worse. So much worse. No wonder my baby girl was turning into a monster. But she didn't have to be a monster. Just like me, she had the potential for perfection. But just like me, no one had ever shown her what to do. I was a good mom in my heart. just a victim of circumstances. I thought if I changed my circumstances, I'd be a better mother, which would make Amber a better daughter. That's why I left her father. I knew leaving would make everything better. It didn't. No matter what I did, nothing got better. It only got worse. And Amber was too horrible for the babysitters, so I couldn't keep a job. It was out of job. I couldn't keep an apartment. I had no choice. I had to beg my mother to let me come home. My mother told me I was the problem, that I was the reason Amber was so horrible because she needed to escape me. And one day she told me that she had solved Amber's problem once and for all by calling Amber's father. I didn't think he'd come, really. In fact, I knew he wouldn't come. He hated Amber. He hated me. He hated us. But he came to get her anyway. I didn't stop him. I didn't know how. No one ever showed me how. How can you do anything when you don't know how? Amber didn't want to go with him, but she listened when I said she had to. As he led her outside, she looked back at me. I could tell she was hoping I would come with her, and she didn't look away until she reached the door. I think that's when she knew I wasn't going to follow, because the hope in her eyes went away. The light in her died as I watched. And then my dark, lightless little girl said to me, "Bye-bye, Mommy." I knew I'd made a mistake. I knew it. And I was so sorry. I spent 3 months trying to get her back, but her father wouldn't let me. He trespassed me from his house. He filed for custody. His mother told horrible stories about me and lies about things I did to Amber. She even told the court I was using drugs, but I wasn't. I thought of Amber all the time. I remembered how perfect she could be, especially on days that we snuggled and had tea parties and went to the playground and curled her hair. I loved her hair, how soft and smooth, and the way it shone in the sun like strands of light. I dreamed about her too. Wonderful dreams, where we lived in a beautiful sunny house in the country with a giant backyard and orchards and a dog. She always wanted a dog. And the most delicious food for every single meal. Those dreams felt so real. More real than real. But one night I had the worst dream I've ever had. It was about Amber. She wasn't perfect in the dream. She was scared. She was hurt. She was emaciated and crying as this horde of laughing monsters smothered her. It felt real, more real than real, more real than even the perfect dreams. And when I woke up, I called the police. I told a lie. I said my daughter had drowned in her father's pool. They didn't have a pool, but I knew it would make the ambulance come faster. And then I drove over to her father's house, and I remember watching the clock. It took me exactly 37 minutes. By the time I got there, she was dead. She had been dead a whole day. I saw her body as they were bringing it out. I can't. They brought her father's mother out in handcuffs, but he wasn't in handcuffs. Even though this was all his fault, he wasn't in handcuffs. I have never been so angry, and I will never be so angry again. I launched myself at him with everything I had. He hit back hard enough to make my face explode. My eyesight turned red, and then it went dark. I felt my bones and splinters of bones grinding in my face. But none of that mattered. All that mattered was my rage. I got up and I hit him again. This time he grabbed me and forced me across the yard, out into the street, and threw me down right as the ambulance with my daughter's body sped off, and it hit me. Everything exploded then, and I went to sleep. I woke up in a house, the brightest, biggest, cleanest house, flooded with sunlight, and there were orchards in the back, greenhouses too, a swing set in the yard, and even a dog and a small white cat. I've always wanted a small white cat. It was perfect. Beyond perfect, the perfect house from all my dreams, with everything I could ever want. Everything, that is, except children to live in it. I don't remember how I found my new daughter. Isn't that strange? All I remember are voices yelling. A woman yelling at this tiny crying girl. I found my new daughter at a playground in tears, while her angry mother packed up a stroller. "You don't want to come home? Fine," said the angry mother. "You stay here and play. I'm going home without you." It made me smile, because I knew what to do now. I knew how to be a good mother. That meant I could show this lady how to be a good mother, demonstrate the error of her ways. I could teach her to be better. But why? Why show her when no one had shown me? In the end, I had to live with my choices, so it was only fair that this woman would have to live with hers. So I went to the little girl, while her useless mother ranted and raged and threw things into her awful little car. The girl was scared of me at first, and she even opened her mouth to scream, and without thinking, I took her hand in mine, and her scream turned to giggles. "Don't be scared," I soothed. "What's your favorite food?" "Cupcakes," she said shyly. So I told her, "I have cupcakes at my house. 100 cupcakes in every flavor ever. Would you like to go eat them now?" Of course she nodded, and she gave me that perfect, shy smile of hers. I was so happy, but one of the qualities of a good mother is politeness, so I told her, "We'll go right now, but first, say goodbye to your mummy, just so she doesn't worry." Her perfect smile went away, which broke my heart, but she was obedient. Good kids are always obedient, and she was so good. She turned to her mother and said, "Bye-bye, Mommy." The woman didn't even notice. She didn't even notice her own baby. That was all the proof I needed to know she didn't deserve her daughter. But I did. So I took the girl by the hand, her tiny, soft, trusting hand, and brought her home. Dinner was already on the table when we arrived. Roast chicken, smoked turkey, a spiral-cut ham, buttery bread sending tendrils of steam into the golden air, vegetables and fresh fruit, and more milk than we could ever need, and a buffet of desserts on the counter. She ate so much. I'd never seen a child eat so much. I wondered if Amber would eat that much, if she'd been there. When I thought of Amber, my heart hurt. When my heart hurt, the house changed. The light broke apart and bled darkness. The walls fell in against themselves, showing nothing but trees and deadfall. The moon replaced the sun, dim and sick and awful. Worst of all was the food. The turkey and the chicken and all the vegetables and desserts were gone, replaced with clods of dirt and moss crawling with ants, and my little girl began to cry. Twigs and dirt and crumbled leaves came tumbling out of her mouth, and she started to choke. I reached for her, but she recoiled. She tried to scream, but all that came out was a whistle. And her little face was already turning purple. And in that instant, I saw Amber's face, my old daughter, superimposed over the new. And I knew what I had to do. I had to forget. I had to forgive myself. It's the only way to start fresh, to be the mother I'm meant to be. So that's what I did. I pushed Amber out of my mind. I cleared away all of the old, all of the regrets and scars and failures, and made room for the new. My heartbreak faded, and with it the panic, and the walls came back, and so did the sun, and most importantly, so did the food. And the little girl was still choking, and I reached into her mouth expecting to extract twigs or bugs or something even worse, and my fingers touched something hard and slick, and I steeled myself and pulled out a chicken bone. Brown from the oven, slick with saliva. Dangerous. But at least it wasn't a twig. My new daughter finished her dinner. She didn't eat dessert with a previous enthusiasm, but that was to be expected after her ordeal. Once she finished, I helped her brush her teeth. A new toothbrush appeared in the bathroom like it was waiting for her. She put on fresh pajamas and laid down to sleep. She was the perfect daughter, and I was the perfect mother. We had such a lovely time. Golden hours, golden days. It should have been perfect, and it almost was. Only something was still missing. And one day, as I watched my perfect new daughter playing alone in my perfect orchard, I realized what it was. A brother. So that night, after I tucked her in bed and made sure she was sleeping soundly, I went to find my son. While I was out, I heard so much. So many screaming mothers, so many bellowing fathers. And the children, I heard their sniffles and their wails. I felt the tears sliding down their faces as if they were my own. And I wanted to save them all. But I knew somehow that they weren't mine to save. Not yet. A mother always knows her children, and I knew that I would know mine the moment I found him. I did. I found him at a bowling alley. Isn't that serendipitous? He was struggling with a bowling ball. He dropped it on his foot and began to cry. His mother rolled her eyes and yelled at him. Yelled at her poor crying little boy who only wanted comfort. She didn't want to give him comfort, but I did. Good mothers always want to comfort their children. I swept in while she complained. I dried his tears and told him to come with me. Oh, he didn't want to until I took his hand, and those quivering lips turned into a smile. And just like that, he was ready to come home. And before we go, I told him, wave and say, bye-bye, Mommy. Of course, he said, bye-bye, Mommy. You wouldn't possibly understand, but it was important for him to say the words. It gave his mother one last chance to come to her senses, a chance to take her child back, a chance to pass a final test and be the mother he needed. She failed. By failing, she made sure those words cut her bond with him. This needed to happen so that he could forge a bond with me, his new mother. My new daughter was overjoyed when she woke up in the morning to her new brother. They got along perfectly, just as I knew they would. A mother always knows these things. We had a wonderful, perfect day filled with playtime and crafts and games and food, of course. A magnificent feast of all their favorite foods, turkey sandwiches and potato chips, macaroni and cheese and mashed potatoes, fried chicken and hot dogs, and every dessert that you can imagine. That night, as I watched them sleep, my heart swelled. I'd done it. I was the perfect mother, just like I knew I could be. The best mother any child could dream for. So why shouldn't I have more children? After all, there were so many. So many. I'd seen them on my way to get my son. All the ones I'd left behind when I chose my son. How could a perfect mother leave any child behind? My heart ached for them. And when my heart aches, my home falls apart. But I recognized the signs this time. I felt the fault line in my heart as it began to open before my walls could fall, before the moon could die and my food turned to rot and ruin. I set out to find my third child. Secretly, I was worried. My heart was already so full and big. It felt like if it got any bigger or any fuller, it would burst, or that I would simply not have enough love, or that I would be overwhelmed with my old daughter, that when this third child came, I would turn back into a bad mother. But I should have known better. I should have believed in myself, because everyone says your heart makes room for each new child, and they're right. That's how I knew that I had more children out there. They were waiting for me. I could feel it in my heart. So I went to find them one by one. I brought them home with me, one by one. They grew up one by one. They grew old, one by one, and they died, one by one. That was the hardest part. My only solace was that they died as they lived, happy, safe in my care, secure in my love. And besides, I'd learned my lesson long ago. To welcome the new, you must get rid of the old. If an old daughter dies, it just means it's time to find a new one. When you people found me, you took my children away. All of them. Even the ones who have passed on. That made me angry. So angry for so long. You know, if you'd taken Amber away, I probably would have understood, because I wasn't living up to my potential then. I wasn't a good mother, but I am now. I am. And you still took all my children away. But even though I'm still angry, I have forgiven you. It just means I have room for new children now. Isn't that wonderful? It is. It's wonderful because I am a wonderful mother now, a fantastic mother. I am a perfect mother. I am. I can show you. Let me show you. Just take my hand. That's all you have to do. Sweetheart, just take my hand. Just like that. That's right. Take my hand and we'll go home. Just take my hand and we'll go home.
Roxanne, let go of me. Let go. Let go. Charlie? Charlie? Charlie!
Why the fuck was a T-Class agent alone with that thing, Charlie? What the hell were you thinking?
Rochelle, look at me. How are you feeling?
Charlie, what happened?
Well, look who finally decided to wake up.
Holy shit. Who is that?
Rochelle, calm down.
I'm perfectly calm, Charlie. I just want to know who he is and what he's doing here.
It's just Kristof, Rochelle. He works here, just like you. He's here to recapture the Bye-Bye Mommy.
Where did she go?
She escaped.
Thanks to you. But don't worry. You can make it up to me later. Come close, and I'll tell you how.
Do not come any closer, please.
Oh, look who's afraid of the big bad wolf.
Rochelle, calm down. He's kidding. It's okay. Calm down. Kristof, you shut up right now or I'll put you back in your cell.
His cell? Did you just say his cell?
You're not putting him anywhere unless you could track down that fucking child-killing bitch yourself!
We'll find her, Rafael. You know we will. We know where her hunting grounds are. It'll take Kristof a day to find her. Maybe less.
A day? I'll track her stench across the state in an hour.
Kristof, don't talk about other inmates like that.
Oh, like what? I'm only telling the truth. She reeks. I won't be able to get her smell out of my nose for a month. Oh, shit. You know what? I'll put myself back in my cell as long as I don't have to smell her ever again.
What do you mean a cell? Are you an inmate?
Guilty. Of that and many, many other things.
Then why are you out? It's not allowed. Inmates can't be out of their cells, so...
Are you an idiot or just untrained? I can't fix the first, but I can help you fix the second. You might even like it, if I let you.
What did you just say? Charlie, is he an inmate or not?
Of course he's an inmate, but he's T-Class, just like you.
What is T-Class?
You did not read your handbook? Naughty.
What handbook?
Are you telling me you sent a T-Class agent to talk to a child killer with fucking magic powers alone? Without even making sure she read her goddamn handbook!
Rochelle, is this true?
Is what true?
That you haven't read your employee handbook?
What handbook?
Did you or did you not receive an employee handbook?
No.
Charlie, why didn't she receive an employee handbook?
I ordered one for her, I think.
For which class?
T-Class?
Oh, really? Are you sure about that?
Yes.
You know, that's funny because there are no T-Class handbooks. They get V2 class handbooks, which you would know if you actually ordered one.
Rachel, we were supposed to talk tomorrow, you and I. But now you've got yourself in trouble. I don't think they'll let you. Too bad. I was looking forward to it.
Kristof, leave her the fuck alone!
What? I am only making friendly conversation.
Just get her out of here, Charlie. She's about to piss her pants. And get her a goddamn V2 handbook!
Come with me, Rochelle. Let's just
run away from the big bad wolf, huh?
You're not a wolf, and I am not running away from you.
Rochelle, come on.
Oh. Au revoir, Rachel.
Shut up. So, I don't know what to call this. An audio log, I guess. A disciplinary statement. I don't know. I just know I'm required to make it because Dr. Wingaryde said I have to because doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Anyway, Dr. Wingaryde got me out of the interview room and escorted me back to my quarters after Roxanne, the bye-bye mommy, escaped on my watch. He also got me a V2 class handbook. And of course, that's a good thing. Well, no, it's a bad thing, but I'm under disciplinary review for letting the bye-bye mommy escape, which means I'm confined to quarters until administration decides what to do with me, and that means I have a lot of free time in which to read this goddamn handbook. Which I've been doing. And it's fucked up. I'm sorry, I know this is an official log and whatever, but this handbook is all kinds of fucked up. Nothing is more fucked up than the section on employee classifications. I'll be honest, they scare me. They more than scare me. They prove I am in the most massive trouble of my life. See, ever since coming to the agency, I thought I was like a secret agent or something. Like, I know I'm here under duress and everything, but I don't know what I thought. I just know I thought wrong. I also know that I am fucked. To prove my point, allow me to reference this batshit excerpt on agent classifications. Agent classifications. As an agent assigned to the Agency of Helping Hands, North American Specialized Containment Unit, or AHH-NASCU, your classification is either a voir dire, or V2 class, or a member of the PAN, or P class. While you serve as the first line of defense and the first point of contact for all inmates in your ward, you are only a small part of the agency as a whole. Your position at the Pantheon requires you to routinely work with agency personnel of differing classes because multiple agents and divisions work together on different inmates all the time. Therefore, it is important for you to understand the differing agent classifications, their purpose, and circumstances that require their assistance. The first class we will discuss is Argonaut, also known as A-Class. Argonauts are field agents whose scope of duties most closely resemble that of traditional law enforcement agencies. They are typically considered monster hunters. Their primary duty is to assure capture and containment of agency targets at any cost. The next class we will discuss are the Varangians, or V-Class. Varangians are undercover agents who infiltrate institutions and communities to protect people from agency-involved threats. Their primary duty is to protect human beings at any cost. The next class up for discussion is the voir dire, or V2 class. These are agents who are caretakers of inmates. They're essentially prison guards, as well as other staff assigned to AHH-NASCU. Their primary goal is to prevent containment breach at any cost. The next classification is the PAN, or P class. P class are the agency's medical division. It includes doctors, surgeons, nurses, and other personnel who treat agency employees and inmates. Their primary duty is to provide care to all individuals associated with or incarcerated in NASCU at any cost. And that brings us to the TC, or T-Class agents. T-class agents are agents with abilities that require dynamism classification. In other words, agents whose abilities necessitate incarceration at the Pantheon. Once identified, they're required to either join the agency or submit to termination. TC function similarly to K9 units, and are always partnered with an Argonaut or a Varangian. When not in the field, T-class agents are housed inside NASCU to ensure their continued compliance with agency directives. Their primary duty is the protection of their Argonaut or Varangian partner at any cost. Failure to perform their duties will result in termination. And there's no two ways about it. I'm screwed. And you know what, Charlie? Assuming you ever actually listen to this, you can go straight to hell. Good night.